Hey there, gorgeous, and welcome to the Females on Fire podcast, the place to be if you're an audacious, dreaming woman ready to ignite your influence, burn your limitations, and spark your success. I'm your host, motivational speaker, marketing coach, and Dr. Pepper lover, Haley Luckadoo, and together with the most incredible women I can find, we're going to bring you the best business and personal growth advice to help you create a profitable biz and step into the highest version of yourself. So welcome to the club, Firestarter. Now let's start turning that spark of an idea into a wildfire of success. Hi, Demi. Welcome to the Females on Fire podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so pumped. We were just talking about this, but for our listeners, I don't know if I should say we bonded, but I feel like we bonded over the fact that your brand is so pink. And I think we just have so much synergy there. And so as soon as I saw your brand, I was like, we have to have this woman on the show. She knows her stuff. Her brand is so pink. It's perfect. So I'm really, really excited to have you on.
I love it. I love it. Yes. I mean, it was like immediate connection. And like you were saying, like the energetics and the vibe is just it's so similar. So, yep. And all things pink, you can never go wrong with pink.
never go wrong with pink. So I'm really excited because you talk a lot about attraction marketing and you really help your clients with getting to those like really high cash months, which you've also done yourself, which is amazing. And so I want to get into all of that goodness. But before we do, just give everybody your backstory. Tell them about you and who you are and how did you even get into owning your own business?
I love this. It's such a story. And I feel like I need to talk about it more often sometimes because there's a lot of people that watch my journey and they're like, oh, I didn't know that you did that. Or I didn't know that this was a thing. And I relate to this part. So it's such a great reminder. And I love when I get to tell the story. So, I mean, I grew up, I feel like a lot of people relate to this where it's you go to school, you get the corporate job, like you make your money and like that's how you become successful in life. Right.
Yeah.
So I was always a very good girl growing up. It was always a by the book, follow the rules. Like I didn't stray very often. I was like a goody two shoes, a people pleaser in school. Like I specifically can even still remember so vividly the days in even when I was younger, like getting in trouble in school. Like it was like the end of the world. And so anyways, I went on and I did all the things that, my parents had told me that you need to do to be successful. So as soon as high school ended, I went into university and I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I feel like the fact that we have to choose that at 18 is the most insane thing to me.
It's wild.
Ever. Right? It's actually wild. Hey, you're 18. What do you want to do for the rest of your life?
Go and spend
$1,000 on university. There's some points where I think like, if my child in the future doesn't want to go to university and they don't want to be like a lawyer, a doctor, or something that you actually need to go to school for, I'm not going to push that on them because I mean, I just think that there's things that we can learn so much more efficiently online nowadays.
Oh, for sure.
I say this to Jake, my fiance, all the time. Like I learn more from TikTok than I learned in a full 4 year
ever. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Like it's so crazy. I've learned
wild.
More from business mentorship than I learned from a 4-year business degree. Like it's so crazy. And I was, so anyways, I did the whole thing and I got my business degree, the 4 years I spent, nose in a book. And I actually ended up moving across the country by myself. So I'm originally from the East Coast of Canada. I now lived on the very West Coast. I always say like, you can't get any farther unless you're like going to start coming back around. So I basically, when I was 20 years old, I was kind of like in this space. I was finishing up university and all the things. And I was just like, this is not what I want. There's something missing here. I feel like I need to go and live life a little bit more. So I did that. And I instead of being in school, I actually took my university and did online courses from there and graduated through online, which was great. Moved to where I live now in Vancouver, BC. And I started in the restaurant industry.
Right.
Just to, make money, right? Obviously living in Vancouver is not for the not for the weak of heart when it comes to the financial piece of this. But yeah, it was just like, I wanted something new for myself. So that was kind of the start, I would say, of my little bit of like rebellious stage where I was like, I'm going to not do things by the book anymore, and I'm going to take a risk. And so anyways, I did that, and it was one of the best things in life. And then, you know, I got into the restaurant industry. I worked my way out very quickly there, became a general manager of a restaurant. And I was saying this as well to Jake, I learned more about business actually running the restaurant and managing the restaurant than I did, right? Profitability, like the cost of goods, like everything I learned. And I learned a lot about people and managing people and leading people, because when you're leading, I had a staff of 150. It was a big restaurant. Wow. Yeah, it was crazy. Try scheduling 150. Okay. Like, yeah, it is hard. It is hard, especially like people that are younger, that like, this is their side job. This is not their, and I mean, it was a little bit, it's kind of like I say, when entrepreneurs see their business as like this hobby or this side hustle, it's like, no, I want you to be in this. I want you to be all in. So there was like a little bit of, you know, I learned how to balance that, and I learned how to manage a lot of people. Anyways, it got to this point where, you know, the 2 a.m.s, the 4 a.m.s, the working 16 hours a day, and, you know, restaurant life, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you'll get me. It just wasn't for me anymore. Yep. And so then I was like, well, you know what? I have my business degree. Let me go into corporate, and I've done so much in marketing, all of the things. Also, I'll say here, you know what's crazy? In 4 years of a business degree, there was not a single program on social media.
Right? What is that about?
I don't know. Don't know. Not a single program. And I did marketing. Like, I did a marketing focus on my business degree. Not a single program that I took or that was necessary for me to graduate was about social media. Or actually, and entrepreneurship was one course out of the 4 years. All of the semesters, entrepreneurship was one course. And it was like, when I look back on it now, I'm like, whoever was teaching that program or came up with that has no idea what entrepreneurship is. So have they ever been a whole
degree on its own?
Oh, anyways.
So crazy.
So I got into corporate marketing, and honestly, the reason that I started my business is because when I actually went into corporate marketing, I did take a salary decrease. Because obviously you're not making tips anymore, you know, all that. Right. So I actually took a salary decrease, and I was struggling. I was finding it really, really hard to pay my bills. And honestly have just like a little bit of like fun money. Like I had enough to pay the bills and then no money left over, basically, is like what my issue was. So I was searching online, and I was like, well, how can I make money? First of all, I asked for a raise at my job and I got denied. So that I was pissed off about. I started and I looked at how to make money, and I didn't want to go back to the restaurant industry. It was like, do I know if I wanted to go back to the restaurant industry and get a job as a server and like make a few tips? Absolutely. I could have a job tomorrow, but I don't want to do that. I just worked so hard to like get myself out of that. And so I actually found virtual assisting online.
Okay.
I came home from this day at work where I had been denied my raise, and I was like, F this. I'm going to start something. I have a marketing degree. I work in marketing. I manage people. Like, I'm good on the computer. I know what I'm doing. I can do virtual assisting. It seems like one of the easiest things in the world. It's like admin for businesses. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like, I look back, I was like, you were so naive, but also I'm so glad that you were so naive, because like, you know, you've learned so much from that. And it was the one decision that you made kind of on a whim, to be honest, that changed the trajectory of your entire freaking life.
Right.
So it was so crazy. I got into virtual assisting. I put up a website. I had this really shitty Wix website that had the ads in it. I had no money. I had no money to like invest in the business, you know? And I just started posting. I started consuming. I started listening to podcasts, like to and from work every single day. It was like podcasts, like on repeat. I was working and consuming until like midnight every night, like just trying to figure out how to make this work. Got a few clients, things like that. Was starting to make money, invested into the business, and then shifted to social media. Anyways, a whole long story short, once I really had grown the business, and I started making more than I was in my 9 to 5, I was like, hey, I can quit my 9 to 5 and I don't have to work now 80 hours.
There's something to this.
Every single week, trying to balance the two. And I did that. And then as I noticed, like more and more people were starting to ask me, how did you do that?
Yep.
Hey, I want to pick your brain. Hey, like, and I was like, I was giving free advice in the DMs. I was helping all of these people. And I was like, why don't I charge for this? I love doing this. It's so much fun. I have so much to give. All of my skill sets that I've incorporated, all the things, all the trial and error. I have so much to give. And So I just started charging for a little like consultation calls and little
Amazing.
coaching calls. And I just fell so in love. Like it was there was such a different frequency I felt from where I was when I was doing social media for a client versus when I saw somebody's eyes light up that they got a result for themselves based on the advice that I gave them. And it just felt so good. And so I made the decision where I was like, I want to go further into this coaching thing. I didn't even know that coaching, this industry existed.
No clue.
No clue. And I was like, I feel so good. I feel like this is really where I thrive. So I made another scary decision, and I just started pivoting into more coaching. And over the years, it's just snowballed into what it is today, where, you know, we've done multi-millions in sales. We're doing 7 figures in cash every year, like, and the lives and like the women that I've been able to impact on this journey. And like, my mission has just become helping more women make more money in their business and be able to live the life that they want to live and not have to worry. And it's just like the freedom and become more of like who they are as well. I find, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, she's just in it for the money or whatever it is, or money doesn't matter. Don't focus on the money. And what I've really learned is that money makes me more of who I am. Like, I'm a giver. I want to,
I love that.
My sister a trip for Florida. We're going on a girls trip. Like, she's in school right now. So it's like, she doesn't have a lot of disposable income. So it's like, I can give back to my family in a way that I never could before. And I can take care of my fiance and support him on living his dreams because, you know, he's wanted to be a firefighter and he had to go through training and like, that's not a great salary, TBH. But I can support him on that. Like, I can pick up the bills. Like, to me, it makes me more of me. I'm able to be more expressed. I feel more confident. I can go get my hair done, my nails done, my lashes, like all of those pieces that just make me more me. And so if I can give that feeling to other women and have them just live a bigger life than what they even believe is possible for themselves, like, that is what I'm here to do. So that's kind of like the Cliff Notes version of how I got here today.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love everything you just said about like, if I can help them realize this, then heck yeah, like I'm all about that, because 100%, like that's what Females on Fire is about. Like, that's why we created it. And I love it. I see so many similarities between our stories of like how we got into this. And I was very much too, like, going through college, just like, what do I want to do? I want to try everything. Like, how am I supposed to choose something? And ended up running this business with zero clue what I was doing. And I think that's kind of, there's something to that, right? Like, you know, you said, I was so naive, but I'm so glad that I was. And I feel the same way, like, about myself looking back. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs kind of have that, where it's like, you jump in, and if you just jump in head first and just trust yourself and trust that it's going to work out and kind of trust the process a little bit, then it's just like, eventually you do get there. And yeah, there's strategy to it. Yeah, there's a lot to learn. Like, yeah, you need to kind of fail and know to stand back up and learn from your mistakes. But there's something to just like jumping in, being a little naive about it, and trusting that you'll figure it out. And so I think that's so cool that now, like, look at you. You didn't just build a business. You're, making massive amounts of revenue, and you're making your clients massive amounts of revenue. And so I think a lot of times, like, I know our listeners kind of get caught up in this, like, oh, my business is doing well and it's profitable and it's making money and it'll pay my bills, but it's not freedom kind of money. You know what I mean? And so, like, you're just like walking, breathing proof that, like, it doesn't take some really crazy like investment. I mean, investing in your business is great. Let's not downplay that, but it doesn't take some big crazy investment to start really making that kind of money. And I love that you're just so passionate about, like, look at the freedom that it gives me. Look at what I'm able to do with it. Look at how I'm able to give back, and look at how now I can create those results for other women too, so that they can go do those things. And it's not just like, oh, I want fun money, even though that's amazing too. Right. And we want more fun money. So I love this. I love this so much. I love how you got into everything. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's such a journey. And I always say this, but like, yes, business is gonna, it's hard. It's not easy. And I know that like, we go into it naive and we're like, oh my God, all the things. And this is so exciting. And this is amazing. But as you grow, like there are going to be things that you have to navigate that you've never, ever experienced before. And I actually made a post about this too, even today, where it's like, I'm looking at my clients and we're having conversations that 5 years ago, I didn't know existed to have.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about things and feelings and problems and the good and the bad and all the things that come with you growing a business. And one of the things I always say is that business will be the biggest personal development journey that you will ever take in your entire life, but it will be the best thing that you've ever done for yourself if you give into it and just like let yourself feel all the things and be all the things and fail and work on the emotional intelligence. And you really get curious about like, what is it that you've never experienced before you're going through now, asking yourself the questions of when these crazy thoughts come in your head.
Yeah.
It's like, these are actually normal thoughts to have. I'm like, yes, these are normal thoughts to have. Everybody's got like that goes through entrepreneurship experiences this, but it's also why I say like, don't go through it alone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So true. So true. I love that you said the word curious, because I think that's a lot of the success in entrepreneurship is how curious can you get? And like, one of my mentors always says, like, the quality of your life is going to be based on the quality of the questions that you ask. Right. And I think the best entrepreneurs, like, there's such a common thread here of like the ones that are really successful. They're making lots of money. They've got the freedom, both in money and in time, and they love their business. They are curious and they ask questions, and they're not afraid to like jump in there and find a mentor or Google their heart out or go learn the thing that they don't know how to do really well. And they're not afraid of like looking stupid in the process. Right. And so I think that's such a beautiful thing, just that like curiosity. And I think it gets you so far.
It does. And I see this and I tell this to my clients, and like, I speak on this sometimes where it's like, sure, you could go look at what Coach Jane over there is doing and try to copy her strategy and make it work for you. But I would rather you get more curious and ask the questions of, why is she doing it like this?
Yes.
What is the plan here? What is she like? Yes. Why is the messaging like there's so much more that like deeper that you could go into, rather than just, oh, it works for her, let me try to copy it and do it for myself. That's why it's not working for you. You have no idea of the intentionality or the things behind the strategy.
Oh, yes. We could do a whole episode just on that. So true. So true. So one thing that you talk a lot about is attraction marketing. And that's really evident just like scrolling through your Instagram, that like, that's something you've really leveraged. I think a lot of people hear that and maybe don't really fully understand what attraction marketing is. I think we see a lot of hype around it, which like, I love some hype, I'll hype up anything, but I think we see a lot of hype of like, oh, attraction marketing, you just have to manifest it. You just have to believe it, like journal every day and it'll come to you. And that's just, I'm a strategy girl. That's not how it works. Like manifest your heart out, like think all the good thoughts, be positive, but like you need a strategy. That's not how it works. So what can you break down kind of, in your opinion, what attraction marketing really is and how you've leveraged it to get where you are now?
I love this. And I completely agree with you. I am not one to be sitting here spending 30 minutes a day journaling out things and, manifesting.
Yep.
And I preach about this all the time too in content. It's like, there's a time for energetics and manifestation, all that good stuff. And it's amazing. It's such a great piece of it. You need that part of business, but if you actually want to get to your goals, then you need that strategy to implement. So yes. I'm a very big strategic person as well. And I think when it comes to attraction marketing, the way that I see it is it's not necessarily just about your energy and how you show up. Anybody could show up and be like, oh my God, I'm so excited about this offer. And it's great. Like, why do I need to buy it from you? That is my question. Like, great that you're excited about it. Why do I need to be excited to buy it from you specifically as the entrepreneur, as the person that's providing it? So when I think about attraction marketing, Number one, I think about it as how you're getting people to come to you. I think in the online space, we are taught a lot about outreach. Go DM a million people, go get in, like go and get on all these sales calls, like go and pitch in the DMs. Like there's that kind of piece of it. And for me, attraction marketing is how you're creating content, how you are showing up, the energy behind, yes, how you are creating, but what it is you're specifically saying, and the embodiment piece as well. And I'll get into that in a second. Behind what you're saying, but it's more about like making people come to you and making people feel something.
Yes.
Creating connection with your community and with your audience. There are 1,000,001 business coaches out there that teach strategy, teach whatever, the same things maybe I teach on, but there's only one person who's going to teach it like I do, and that's me. And there's only one person who's going to deliver the message like I do, and that's me. And there's only one person who's embodied in everything that I'm teaching in the way that I'm doing it, and that's me. And so when I am creating content, when I am talking about my offers, the first thing that I do when I create an offer for a specific example, I ask myself, what's the story behind this offer? Why am I the person to deliver this offer? How am I going to teach it? And what I want to bring forth in my marketing that helps with attraction is that story, that connection piece, that, oh, this is the journey Demi went on. This is what she realized. This is what wasn't working that maybe I'm trying to do right now, that's why it's not working for me. And I need to learn her way. And also the result based, right? So I'm not going to teach on something that I haven't done for myself or have gotten a result for myself. And I think a lot of people lose attraction, the attraction marketing piece, because it's like, oh, one day they do something and then they're like, oh, I'm going to go teach on it.
Yes.
Me,
oh my gosh.
and I mean, like we could have a whole other conversation about that.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I need to integrate this into my business. I need to look at how I'm truly embodying this before I can go out there and confidently give a teaching on it. I'm also like, and I see people do this too. It's like, oh, I got into this coaching program and now I know all these things. And so I can teach it too. And I'm like, you got into the coaching program and you watched the modules. You didn't implement this in your business.
Right.
So you can't teach this.
You've learned nothing. Not yet.
So a lot of people also go to this place of, again, I feel like there's a lot of a comparison and things like that too in the space, which also takes the power out of attraction marketing. Again, it's like the attraction piece is your embodiment, your knowledge, your experiences, and you want to get louder about that. Just because I always use Coach Jane, Coach Sally Sue, whatever, just because they're doing it and it's working for them, it's because they're embodying in what it is. You can't expect to do something or create something or whatever it is or talk about it when you haven't experienced it for yourself. So the biggest piece in attraction marketing is being able to create connection, because it's what you know, it's your positioning factors.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, girl, fire, so much fire. I love this. I love that you're kind of emphasizing that. And I think we hear this a lot, but we don't always take it to heart as much as we should. You're emphasizing that like you are the piece of the puzzle that cannot be replicated. And that's such a beautiful thing and such an important thing in marketing, because we do live in this like very weird new age where there's so many options to market your business, right? And it's like you were talking about the business degree in college that didn't even bother to teach social media, which wild, because like, how do you run a business without any social media in the 2020s, but it's like, there's so many options, even just with social media. And then you've got podcasting and emailing and YouTube and blogging, and you could do events and you could be a speaker. And it goes on and on and on and on. There's so many ways to market your business, and you can get so creative with it. The sky is the limit. But at the end of the day, it's like, I could do so many things. Some of them will be successful, some of them won't. But at the end of the day, I'm the thing in there that's really making it work. Like, you can't decide, oh, I'm going to be a speaker so that I can go market my business without you actually getting on stage and doing the speaking, right? It takes you, and that's the one piece that can't be replicated. And I think a lot of the time I see entrepreneurs like digging into their marketing strategy and they're like, oh, I want to run ads because that's the thing that I'm supposed to do, right? I need to get on this social media platform because it's the new thing and everybody's on it. And it's like, Yeah, but if you don't know how to show up in those ways, like if your organic marketing does not work, ads are not going to do you any good. And I will die on that hill always. If you like have no idea how to create really great content, or you're terrified to get on video, what good is jumping on TikTok going to do you? Like, it's just like, you've got to really live into like, who am I and how do I sell me? And I think that's such a beautiful part of it, is it's like really leaning into, if I were the only tool that I had, how would I market myself? Right. And how would I sell that?
Yeah. I love all of that. I'll also die on the hill of ads, where it's like I've built multi-millions and I've never run ads. So
Yep.
there you go. Like
Yep.
it's all based on content. It's all based on again, like showing off your personality and sharing from your heart. And the other piece that I will say when it comes to attraction marketing though, is you have to have clarity. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle, and I hate to use that term, but struggle with attraction marketing and content, is because they actually don't have clarity on their ideal client. They don't have clarity on their offer. They don't have clarity on the framework, that how do you get your clients from point A to point Z? What does that structure actually look like? And so I have a framework that I teach in one of my programs, and clarity is the first piece of the framework, because without that, you can't market.
Yeah.
Your marketing is going to be fluffy AF, right? Fluffy AF marketing, if you don't specifically know who you're marketing to. And I talk to clients all the time. And one of the things that I push my clients to do is market research. And I get pushback. It's so funny. I get pushback from my clients sometimes of like, oh, like market research, man, I don't want to
hate it.
I was like, yeah, well, you know what? Do you want to make a lot of money, or do you not want to make a lot of money? So like,
Yes.
do you know what your audience is going through or not? Like, you can't just guess. You can't just guess. You have to actually get out there, start creating connections, start talking to people. And it's so funny. I did this. I had this client, and she pushed back on me on market research. And it was like, girl, I am not coming back into this Voxer with you until you do it. Like, we're like,
we're done.
You have to do this. Like, I'm going to push you. I'm going to challenge you. Humor me. Go out and do it. She came back and she did it, and she ended up signing 5 clients from market research and creating $20,000 in the span of a week from people that she actually just asked for their opinion.
Yep.
Created content based on their opinion. Like, I was like, and she was like, I wish I did this sooner. I'm like, girl, listen.
You're like, I told you.
What did you hire me for? Like, you hired me to tell you how to make money. You know, you go and do the things I'm telling you to go and make money, and that will help you make money. It's so funny.
I swear, I think we share a brain, because I'm like, my clients are the same way. What is it about market research that scares everybody? But it's like, you're leaving money on the table. Just go get the money. Like,
yeah. I think a big part of it is that they think if they're doing market research, then they're going to be viewed as less of an authority because they don't know something, or they, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know this about my ideal client, or like, there's a weird ego thing that comes into play, I think, with market research. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, you have to have that clarity. If you want to create really great attraction marketing, then you have to be able to speak to what they're feeling, what they're going through, what their thought process is, what their objections might be. Like, if you can actually handle somebody's objections before they even have them in your content, you will make millions of dollars.
You really will. It's true. Like, the sky is the limit if you really know what you're doing, and like can get in the brain of your customer before they even have to like ask for it, and have to like come to you and say like, oh, this is my problem. If you're like, girl, I know your problem, like, here's the answer, then that's how people end up. I mean, think about it. Like, you get shown ads from Target, and this happens to me all the time. I'm like thinking about buying something. I didn't type it into Google. I didn't do anything. I'm thinking about buying it. And all of a sudden, here's a Target ad. And it's like, oh, that thing that you wanted, we know. And here it is. You know, it's like, if you can be that for somebody, then they're sold. Like, you don't even have to do the selling. They're already sold.
Yeah. And I also think a big piece of it too is not being afraid to give it all away. Like, I have clients sometimes that'll be like, well, what's too much to give away for free? I'm like, give it, give it away for free. Obviously, you're not going to be out here putting your entire freaking program on the internet, but don't be afraid to do a free masterclass. Don't be afraid to go live and do trainings. Don't be afraid to have your content be like the most valuable thing. One of my mottos for attraction marketing is, I want to make my free content better and more valuable than some things that people will pay for.
Yeah.
in this space, if you know what I mean.
I love
But
it though. There's such a strategy to that. And I think people get so nervous about that, but you've like leveraged that in such a way that like it just, oh gosh, there's such a strategy to it there that people are really missing.
if you can make people feel seen before they even pay you a dime, if you can be consistent before and show up for somebody before they even pay you a dime, you're going to have a loyal client and build a really loyal community for life, right? I always say, you know, the way I know my clients trust that I'm going to show the hell up for them when they invest in me is that I show the hell up for them before they pay me a dime.
Yes.
And that's what builds so much trust.
Say it again for the people in the back. Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's so good. So you mentioned just in talking about like market research and stuff, you mentioned I think there's an ego thing. And that's a lot of it, right? A lot of we were kind of talking about that before about being naive and just diving in head first, right? Is putting your ego aside. So what for you came up? What mindset shifts did you maybe have to kind of overcome when like really starting to scale to these like high cash months that you have? Cause it's very different going from, oh, I just started out, I'm not making money yet, to hitting say 5, even 10K months. And then very different from, 10 to 20 and beyond. And so what was that like for you, that process? And what did you see coming up over and over again that you were like, I've got to work through this or I'm never going to be able to scale?
My biggest bottleneck, I was probably around 30 to 50K months. And I was like, well, I can't get beyond this. There's something wrong. Like there's something wrong with me, that I'm doing something, like there's something going on. My biggest bottleneck was putting my ego to the side and asking for help, like hiring the team, like relinquishing control over the things that I didn't need my hands on anymore. And I think that that's what I work on a lot with my mastermind clients as well. When we work on like team building and we work on the things that are going to create more efficiency in your business to actually scale. And for me, a lot of the ego was, I can't do this all by myself anymore. I have to let things go. And I'm superwoman, but I'm not superwoman or I can't do all this. Yes. I physically can't. Right. Yes. So that was probably one of the biggest pieces, of the ego thing. Yeah. For me.
So I'm all about the like behind the scenes, like really getting the weed stuff. At what point did you hire your first person? Because I know we have so many people in our audience that are like borderline. They're like right there. They're like, I need somebody, but I don't know if I'm ready to hire. So when did you make that first hire? When did you decide to grow the team? And what did that look like?
It's a really great question. So I was doing really well in the business. I would say we were clearing 7 to 10K months consistently before I hired my first team member. Back then, that was what, 2020, I'm going to say. Back then, I was also, my business structure was just very different than what it was today. So back then, it was like sign one-on-one clients, get everybody in everybody had one-on-one calls. My calendar was absolutely full. So I actually couldn't do the things that I knew were bringing me in more clients. So the first hire that I ever made was somebody for lead generation and engagement, because I knew that was a really big piece of my strategy back then. Getting to the DMs of people, like building those relationships, getting my content in front of them as I was really growing. So at that point where I was like, I can't do all of the things, like I have all these clients and I can't do my own business. And I know I want to go bigger than this. That was my initial gut reaction to be like, okay, well, what is the main money generating activity in my business right now besides content? I personally I still to this day don't outsource my content. That is mine.
Amazing. I love that.
I teach it. I need to be in it. Like that is mine.
Yes.
But besides content, what was my main money generating activity? And it was lead generation connection. So if I knew that was my main generating activity and I didn't have the time to be committing to doing that, I needed to have somebody in my corner that could come in and help me. So that was the first hire that I ever made. And then with all the new clients that were coming in, because I was now in 2 places at once, which was great. Then I really knew that the bottleneck in my business was systems, was automations. I was doing everything manually. And to be honest, like tech and all these things, like I'm still to this day not the biggest tech girl ever. Like, I can figure it out. I watch some YouTube tutorials, all the things, but again, it was again, like, do I want to spend my time watching 3 hours of YouTube tutorials and frustrated over how to friggin' set up a workflow in Dubsado? Or do I want to just pay somebody to come in and I can take on 2 more clients, or I can increase my capacity in that time frame. So the second hire that we made was somebody to really come into the business and look at the operations and the workflows and the things that were really just clogging up. Again, it's the efficiencies clogging up my time.
Oh gosh, I love that.
It's crazy. She is still on my team to this day.
Oh, cool.
Together for 3 years now. And I just re-signed with her for another 12 months. So super exciting. We'll be going into our 4th year together. And so that was one of the other things in regards to the team is I didn't want to just get the cheapest option. Or somebody who was going to be here for the short term, right? I invested in the team. I think that's the other side of things is like people want to invest in coaching. They'll throw 50 grand at a coach. And then when it comes to their team, they're like, $300 a month.
Yeah. Let me cheap out on it. Yes.
And they cheap out on it. And that's also what bottlenecks them. And so for me, when I looked at how I wanted to be investing in the business, it was like, I want this person. I know she's a little bit more pricey than other options that I could go with still to this day, but she's going to be somebody who's going to grow with the business longer term. And I have a much bigger vision than just 3 or 6 months from now. So I think there's that piece when you're hiring and looking at team as well, that you make sure to look at.
I love that. I love that you were like, I have such a vision for it, because I think there is a big mindset shift there that has to happen for you. It's like you said, people will throw so much money at tools and platforms and coaches and programs and courses and all these things. But when it's like, oh, it's time for me to go pay somebody because I need help, because like you said, we're Superwoman, but we're not Superwoman, right? Like when you need to
Superwoman needs help sometimes.
Superwoman needs an assistant. I don't know. Like I was going to say Robin, but that's Batman. So whoever Superwoman's person is, she needs help. My husband, it's so funny. He told me something the other day where he was like, you're this like really powerful, amazing woman, but not before 6 a.m. And I was like, that is accurate. That is so accurate. I don't know what we were talking about, but it was something about me being up at, I had an alarm go off at 6 a.m. or something. He was like, why did you have an alarm go off? You're not getting up at 6 a.m. And so but it's true. It's like, you can be Superwoman, you can be amazing at what you do, but you cannot do everything. And you just don't have the time. And if you figure out how to make more time, then we want to interview you for the podcast.
Let me know.
Please let us know. But there's such a mindset shift there that happens, but it's so important. Like when you look at investing in your business and like, where do I want to spend more money, more energy to really make this more efficient? I love that you brought up efficiency, because that's like, to me, when I look at things, it's such a logical, like strategic sort of mind frame of like, okay, how do we make this more efficient? Where is the bottleneck? And I think as marketers, that's just like our go-to, right? It's like, where's the bottleneck happening? What's the like most obvious solution that would work, that would fix it, and fix it permanently, not a temporary fix. And that's a really tough thing to get over when hiring a team. It's just like, oh, I don't know if I want to commit to paying someone's salary, you know, like I don't know if I really want to like have somebody leaning on me for their income. But when you open yourself up to that and you go, oh, I'm so willing to throw money at everything else, if I just put that money over here, it's going to make so much more sense. It's going to make everything run so much more smoothly. Like it's just going to change the game. And I just don't think there's not enough people paying attention to that, you know?
Well, here's the way that I see it is we need more people that actually operate like a CEO. We have a lot of people out here operating Instagram businesses. We don't have enough people out here actually looking at their business as a CEO. And I understand it because, again, it's all new. You're navigating something that you've never done before, and you were never taught to look at business this way. Like for me, I was always working for somebody else. I had the CEO coming to me being like, boom, 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 this is what we need. Like, and for me, it was like, okay, I'm the executor. Great. But I never had to look at it from the CEO point of view, long-term growth plans, like all of that. And so that was another shift in my mindset that I really had to adopt when I was operating the business. And instead of seeing it as like, oh, I run a business and I'm an online coach, it's like, no, I'm an effing CEO of a company that makes millions of dollars. How do I look at it from that perspective? Like, let me put a different hat on right now, because a lot of people are making decisions based on emotions, based on fear, based on looking at their month to month. And I'm like, no, I'm looking at we're already talking about 2025 right now behind the scenes. Like, we're looking at things in a much different way. And that's why, that's why you see people that get capped or that get bottlenecked and they can't figure it out. They feel like they're drowning or whatever. And that's also when you see the people that are looking at it from a strategical standpoint, taking a lot of the emotion out of it, being more logistical, factual. What do we need to do? What's the CEO?
Yes.
What's the CEO move that I have to make here? And then those are the people that you'll see making millions.
What's the CEO move? I love that. That might be the title of our episode right there. Like, what's your CEO move? That's so important though, because like, yeah, there's such, there's such a mindset piece to it. And like, I am not downplaying mindset. I love mindset. I love personal growth. I love all of that. But it's like, you can get so caught up in that you totally forget about the strategy. And we are very emotional beings, right? And we want to put our emotion in everything. And it's like, when you just pull back a little, give yourself this like bird's eye view, really look at what the vision was, what the plan was, then you can create a strategy that works. And it doesn't rely on mindset. Mindset's just the like icing on the cake that makes it better, right?
Yes. And here's the other thing too, is like people would have a lot less mindset problems if they actually just had clear strategy to place a focus on. Like there would be a lot spiral if they actually just had a plan in place for their business where they felt secure and grounded in. Like,
yes. Oh my gosh. If that's not the most accurate thing ever.
Like if you knew how you were planning your recurring revenue and you knew how you were everything that you were doing for your launch and you knew where you were going to be and what's going like you wouldn't be spiraling. What do I do? This is not working. Like all the things, because you're looking at it again from that strategic standpoint. You're more grounded.
Oh my gosh, I love that. All the mindset coaches are going to come for us, girl.
Listen, I'm not playing down mindset. I have an emotional intelligence coach. Like I love her. She's amazing. I need it. Trust me.
But you need both. You have to have both.
You have to have both. There's no way around it. There's not.
Oh my gosh. I love this. Well, as we kind of start to wind down, let me just ask you, like, I think a lot of people, we've talked about attraction marketing, and that's such a cool concept, such a beautiful thing when you're using it right. But I think a lot of people get really caught up in like, well, okay, Demi, I've done the market research, right? I'm clear. I've got the clarity. I'm good to go. I know who my people are. I know what they need, but I don't know how to scale to those kinds of numbers, right? Like I don't know how to get my revenue up there. I don't know if they'll pay, so much money for this one thing, but I don't know how to scale it past one-on-one, or I have to cap my group program or whatever, or maybe I'm a service provider. I can only do so much. What's your advice to them on like, what's the next step?
It's refinement in the offer suite. When you're at a bottleneck for capacity, it's refinement in the offer suite. There's probably a lot of things that you're adding into your program. And again, this could maybe go into this if you were a people pleaser, like I used to be, and I'm a recovering people pleaser, but like there was so many times in my program where I was like, oh, people aren't going to buy. So I need to add. I need to add value of this, but I was adding things that people didn't actually need. And my customer journey didn't make sense. Like if everybody was getting one-on-one calls, or if everybody had access to me in every single program, like it didn't make sense. So I had to really refine how I was developing my offers, the customer journey of it. Are there places that you could add passive revenue in? Are there places that you need to change the boundaries with your clients? Are there things that you're giving that do you really need to add that Facebook group community to that program?
No, the answer is no. The answer is always no.
Yeah. So it's like the little pieces like that. Yeah. When clients come to me and they're looking at scaling, and they feel capped at where they are, the first thing that I'm going to audit is the product suite. I'm going to audit where you're spending your time. I did this for a client. Actually, she just joined for January again, which is so great, but we've been working together for 6 months. And when she came to me, she was like, hey, I'm doing really great, doing 40K months, like everything feels good, but like I have no idea how to scale beyond that. And I don't know like how to, with my schedule being the way that it is. I took one look at our product suite and I was like, there's a massive gap that's here. Number one, all these people don't need all these one-on-one calls. Number two, you have a kitchen sink program, meaning that people that are at 0K months or whatever, and people that are at 50K months, you're trying to get them and funnel them into the one thing. There's too much going on here.
Yeah.
Anyways, we refined her product suite, shifted it, created another stepping stone offer. She just hit her very first $100,000 month, and she's working half the time. Her schedule is half the time that she was when she came to me. So, and that was only 6-7 months ago.
That's so
A
wild.
lot can happen in a very short amount of time when you're focused on refinement for the offers. So
Yeah.
that's probably the first place. If you have the content, you got the people coming in, it's the offer suite.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. So what would you say is like getting in there and going, okay, I definitely have an offer suite problem. Like there's a gap here, or maybe I need to pull some things out. I need to drop these one-on-ones or whatever. How do you then market? Like, let's say you've got your main kind of core offer, but then you've pulled out some other things for like passive income. How are you personally marketing that where it's like, okay, I am selling my passive income, but I have this focus on my main core offer? Because I think a lot of times we can get caught up in like, oh, now I have this course that I created, which is amazing for passive income, but now I've got to market it. And then we go spend all our time marketing it instead of the main offer, right? So like, how are you balancing all of that?
That's a great question. So here is the way that I would look at this is your signature offer before you go and you create all of these other micro programs, right? Make sure that you build a lot of offer and brand awareness around the signature offer. So much so that like people just know you for that offer. So what the biggest thing I would say is like, take the time to actually get your audience aware of the signature offer. From there, when you're pulling different pieces out, I would ask like, what is the first step? So again, this goes back to like the framework. So when I look at the framework and I look at all of the different things that I teach on all the pillars, when I create, I'm looking at, okay, my signature offer goes into these pieces of the framework. What are the first steps? How can I pull it out? How can I go farther on these pieces? And so your micro programs, they still have to make sense with funneling into your signature offer. So whenever, then let's say you have a signature offer and you have a course a mini course or whatever that you want to sell, I would start offering then on your stories or whatever, get on and talk about your mini course. You talk about who it's for. Obviously, it's going to be a very different transformation. It's the first step in your signature offer process. You talk about that, you sell that first, and then you can say something like, listen, if you've already mastered X, Y, and Z, and you're at this place, then you need to be in my signature program. You're ready to take this a step further. This is the program you need to come into, and here's why. And you can kind of go into what's covered in the main signature program. So that's kind of the way that I would balance it, is like, you can still sell multiple things on your stories, in your content at whatever given time, as long as the messaging is clear for each of them.
Yes. And that's so important. And it goes right back to what you were saying earlier about the customer journey, right? And just thinking about like, okay, what do my people need at this step, at this level, in this point of the process, right? And how do I offer that? And okay, if this person's not here, they're up here, like, how do I give them that too? And I think we get really caught up in like, oh, I have this offer and it's for this person, for this problem. Let me go sell this. And I think it's just like launch mode, right? We all want to put ourselves in launch mode all the time. And it's like, oh, I need to go launch my offer. And if I'm launching this offer, I can't be talking about this offer too. And so that's what, like, I think you've done that so beautifully because I've been following your content for a bit. You do that so well, where it's just like, you so casually sell things. And I think that's such a beautiful like thing. So if you're not following Demi, you absolutely need to be on Instagram, because she does, you do such a great job of that, where it's just like, you so casually drop this like, oh, look what my client did. I'm just celebrating them. And you're totally celebrating them, but you're also like, hey, if this is you, guess what? I can help. Right. And so it's just like, you just do that really, really well. And I think that's such a tricky thing to fine tune sometimes.
Yeah, I think
So I think that's great.
I think it takes a little bit of practice, but I also think it takes people not treating their audience like they're kindergartners. Like, I look at my
Yeah.
audience, the people that I'm serving are like, the way that I view them, they're a CEO of a company. They're
Yeah.
running a business. They have clients. They are smart people. They can discern whether, if I'm talking about something that's about making 5K months and they're already making 50,
Yeah.
they can
They
discern
know it's not for them. Yeah.
not for me. Great. If I'm talking about 50K months and somebody's not even at 5K months, maybe they're like, oh, this is amazing. This is great. But I know this is probably not where I need to be
Right.
focused. Like, I trust that people can discern what offer I'm talking about that's going to be a good fit for them. And also, I'm very clear in that messaging as well. And so people get so caught up with like, oh, I'm going to confuse my audience. I'm like, No, you're not. Not if you believe and you trust that they're getting it and you're clear in your message and you're speaking to what person that they can discern what's for them and what's not for them.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. I love that. All about that clarity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
full circle back to the clarity of getting really clear with who you help, how you help them, and what that messaging looks like.
Always.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. This was like an amazing like master class in marketing. I love it. I love it so much. So as we wrap up, we always like to close with just a fun like rapid fire round just to like get to know you a little and maybe give some good recommendations to our listeners. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I feel like I'm on a game show.
I love it. And the winner is, what is one thing that you do every single day that just makes you feel alive and on fire?
Oh, this is so fun. I think it's probably honestly just spending time with my dog. If I'm being honest, as crazy as that sounds, but it's like in those little moments, it's in the little moments that I remember. I'm like, oh wow, I can walk my dog at 2 in the day before like those little things that I couldn't do before I had my business. And it's like these reminders of what I'm for that again just boost my energy. And I'm like, let's go, let's keep going. What more can I do?
I love it. Oh my gosh. Goes right back to that freedom piece, doesn't it? Yeah. Amazing. Oh my gosh. What is the last book or podcast that you loved?
I would say I listen. I try not to consume too much. So I will say that.
Right.
I'm not too big on consumption. But I really like Alex Hermosi.
Yeah.
Last name wrong. I really like to listen into like what he has to say. I feel like he's very strategic, very no BS, which is how I am.
Yeah.
And then of course, like Demi's Diary also exists, which is my podcast. So.
You know,
shameless plug. Yeah.
Girl, shameless plug away. We love it. If you had $10,000 right now, somebody just handed you $10,000 to go invest in your business, where would you put it?
Oh, 100% I would do mentorship.
Love that.
Yeah. I mean, mentorship and team, it's a toss up, but based on what I need at this point, like I already have the team. It's great. I actually have a call with a new mentor coming up after this, which is super exciting for. So I definitely would say mentorship because I know that it will quadruple. That 10K will be $1 million in the next year if I put my money in an investment like that.
I love it. Females on Fire, we're all about shouting out other women and elevating other women. So who is one woman that you would love to give a shout out to and want everybody to go follow?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I'll just shout out my ride or die, who is my team member, Ree. So Ree is the person I've been talking about. We've been together for 4 years now. And her Instagram is OPS by Ree, RHI.
I love it.
Oh, and if you want to scale and you want support and anything system wise, like she's your girl.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Last rapid fire question. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
There's so many, this is hard. There's so many pieces of advice. I think the biggest one, and I'll say this in business, and I mean, like there's so many, but I think the biggest thing is not worrying about what anybody else is going to think and doing it anyways. Like not asking for permission before you go and you do something, if it's what you know that you want to do. That was one of the biggest things, is like, if I feel the pull for something and I know that like there's something within me that wants to do this, and even though there's fear, it's still doing it anyways. That's how I've grown.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, Demi, tell everybody where they can find you. Where can they go follow along? What are you promoting right now? Give them all the places.
Okay. Well, obviously Instagram is like my main hub. It's my home base. That's where I hang out. It's YourBizCoachDemi on Instagram. Obviously we also have the podcast, which is Demi's Diary. So if you want to pop over and listen to some longer form content, we are over there. And then if you want to come in and you want support on marketing, offers, everything to do with strategic strategy and business, then I definitely suggest joining my business elevation portal. It's access to all of my offers, biweekly hot seat coaching calls. You get access to me in Slack. It's a really, really, really fun community of women. And I always say it's like, I look at it as like the home base, because as you've even heard in this episode, you kind of need it all. You need a place for energetics. You need a place for mindset. You need a place for offers. You need a place for content. You need a place for sales processes, all of the things. So that is my signature program and it runs and you can join at any time. That would be the best place for you to call home.
I love it. And we will put all of those links in the show notes. So make sure you go check that out. Follow along with Demi. You definitely want to consume her content and jump in over there. Demi, thank you so much. This was such an amazing episode, such a good masterclass in marketing and just all the things. And I just love your energy. I adore you. So thank you so much just for your time and for all of this greatness.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to listen.